So this is going to be a little opinion piece on what I think are the next steps of the Splatoon 3 news to come out. Primarily when I think there is going to be news and when I think Splatoon 3 is going to come out. This is going to be basically a timeline of my predictions on the next few months and what they're going to bring in terms of Splatoon 3 news, ultimately leading up to its release. To start off the timeline, we get into September. In September, I believe we'll get the next Nintendo Direct. I think September because over 2021 Nintendo is trying to get back to their Nintendo Direct quote-unquote schedule. I think in this Direct we'll see a full Splatoon 3 trailer that at the end reveals the March release date. I'm not sure when in March this would be, but I think March because the only first-party Nintendo games coming out in 2022 that are already scheduled is Pokemon Legend. I believe the September Direct will either put an unannounced first-party game or the Mario & Rabbids Sparks of Hope game in the February spot, put Splatoon 3 in the March slot, to put a smaller game in between the launch of two giant games like Pokemon and Splatoon. That's not to say that Mario & Rabbids isn't a giant game, but it's not going to sell nearly as much as Pokemon and Splatoon will. I think that in this timeline we'd see Nintendo put the full Splatoon 3 trailer at the end of the Direct, first showing the full release date, then after that the trailer ends and a rep from Nintendo would announce that a test fire is coming in November to give ample time to put the finishing touches and properly balance weapons before the March release. After the test fire in November, I think it'll be a few months before we get another trailer and the story teaser up until February 2022, when finally we get a Splatoon 3 Direct. This would talk about the new modes in depth and give a full story trailer and start to tease why we have a small fry with us. And in the end of the Direct, they'd repeat what they did in the Splatoon 2 and announce that the first Splatoon 3 Splatfest acting as a little server test and final test fire. I believe the Splatfest would work pretty similarly to late Splatoon 2 Splatfest system, using the cloud system and lasting 2 days instead of 1. This will be one final piece of content before the full release in Splatoon 3 in March 2022. So, what are the odds that this timeline actually happens? Not very likely. This is how I think it'll happen though, if we try to base a potential timeline off what we've seen from Nintendo this year, and how they've treated Splatoon 2 up until its launch. Although Splatoon 2 was much more of an experimental title because Nintendo hadn't really seen Splatoon's full potential since Splatoon 1 was released on the Wii U. When it comes to Splatoon 3, it's really up in the air. They could treat this game with more care than they've done with any game before, or they could just drop it and get on with their company. There's really no way to know because Splatoon 3 is the true financial sequel. Splatoon 2 is proof that Splatoon could be a core franchise for Nintendo, and Splatoon 1 was just another attempt to get people to buy the Wii U, and we all know how that went. But since this video is about my opinions and how I think Nintendo is going to try to do this, what do I think they'll do? And I think that they're going to try to treat this with as much care as possible because Nintendo wants to make this franchise grow. They want to get as many people into Splatoon as possible, which is a good thing, and the only way Nintendo can do this is to make a ton of noise, and my theoretical timeline is a nice way to build up hype around the general Nintendo space for Splatoon 3. But anyways, that's all I can really think of for a potential timeline from now until March. There's no real way to know for sure until it happens, but this is in my opinion how it could go down, at least one way it could go down. I don't think I made this thing too unrealistically, but for now, since there's not been any news in Splatoon 3 in months, that gives me some time to talk about some more weird and wacky ideas on how this game could launch. But wait, before you go, did you know that only 27.1% of people who view this channel are actually subscribed? I know, that is way too low. But for all of my unsubscribed viewers, I've got an offer for you today. If you subscribe today, and today only, you'll receive your very own hotel bathroom towel. Yep, there's nothing special about this one today. You get your very own hotel bathroom towel. That is all you get. Yep, subscribe today. Okay, bye.